the BKB 51 in London. The event will be live on talkSPORT Boxing's YouTube channel, and no doubt your next fight in May will be too. But when you had your last fight, we saw a lot of images on social media of the kind of scale of injuries that you got in that fight. Is there two questions? Why are you competing in that space with that kind of potential damage? And is there enough fight? I mean, look, Paul, those are strong
those are cuts.
images.
Those are cuts, though.
Yeah, look,
the cuts are a lot. For me, cerebral hematomas are worse, and you don't see them.
But you posted that for a reason.
But Paulie, I think the question is here, because you had such a successful professional boxing career, you've done everything you wanted to achieve. You're retired from the sport. You recognise it, and I get that you get an itch, and you want to go. You want to scratch that itch, and by doing that, you go into BKB, which is the ultimate gladiatorial sport. And I understand that. I totally get it. When you come out and you sustain injuries like that and 3 broken ribs as well, you go, where's the motivation coming from after that? Like, what's the reasoning behind that?
Okay, I took 2 things. So one of them is it's a title fight. I want to win the BKB title. So when it got presented to me, stylistically, I also think I match up well with Rolando D, the champion. He's a different puzzle than Tyler Goodjohn, but I also think I match up well with him. Secondly, I think I live more healthy now than I would if I'm not fighting. Okay, if I'm not fighting, I'm gaining weight. I'm letting go of myself a little bit. When I'm fighting, I've been getting myself in good shape for the past year. I don't spar anymore. The reason I don't spar anymore is because I tried to spar last camp, and my whole body hurts so much that I'm like, I'm never gonna make it to the fight if I spar like I used to. So it's funny because I used to watch Rocky movies and say, yeah, right, you can't go through a training camp without sparring. And now I'm doing that. I'm the old guy doing that. But so I go whole training camp, I keep in great shape, I diet well, and I'm not sparring. So what damage am I taking? I'm taking it on fight night. The motivation is winning and also feeling good.
Yeah, but you've done it at the highest level.
And I'm making some good money.
There you go.
But you want me to say money, but it's not just the money. But it's not just the money. What I'm saying is I feel good. Like I literally, I'm training and I feel good in training. And like I said, I'm not taking damage. Like some guys, they always say, oh, Ali got all his damage in the gym. I'm not taking damage in the gym. So, it's just on fight night. And on fight night, those shots are not as hard as they are in pro boxing because they're just cuts.
On his fight. I watched it and I thought you'd done really well. And you surprised me in the output that you have because I thought you'd be a bit trying to concentrate a little bit more on being smart, making Tyler Goodjohn miss. But Tyler Goodjohn's an ex-boxer as well.
You can't
take too many chances in there. You have to just let your hands go.
Boxing works in bare knuckle, but you've got to be first. Yeah. You got to boss it.
But your strategy in that fight, by the way, was not putting a lot of power in the shots, but there was a high volume, high output, and that is maybe the secret because the big punch is obviously going to break your hands.
Well, my hands are terrible. Yeah. My hands hurt even that fight.
So is the question about fight aftercare not a valid question? It's not a necessity because
fight aftercare.
It's there.
No, it's there. Fight aftercare. Here's the fight aftercare plan. I'm going to bring my own plastic surgeon. Because look at this. There's a lump here. The way they stitched me up, if I would have let my dog stitch me up, it would have been better. That was a disgrace. I'm still dealing with, look, there's a black and blue here, still from whatever infection came from the stitch here, from this scar. Right. Over here, I've got lumps because I talked to my plastic surgeon friend in New York. So he said when it's cut is like that, he said you have to stitch it down so that when it rises, it gets even. This Momo that stitched me in the hospital over here, I don't know, I waited 8 hours for this guy to stitch me. Apparently, I should have just stitched myself.
You talking about RNHS?
Yeah, that guy. This Momo stitched me after 8 hours. They sent some Momo to stitch me, and he stitches me. My plastic surgeon friend in New York says basically the moron stitch you evenly, so now when it rises, it goes up.
But they've done it in 24 hours. You've done it inside 24 hours?
Inside 24 hours.
You done well.
But then the people...
Spencer's still looking for the doctor to fix his nose when he was 16.
And then the thing is, people in the UK were commenting me saying, "Oh, what right do you have? You don't even live here." Guys, I'm standing up for you guys because nobody was getting stitched that night. There was nobody there.
So as far as the fight, so you were lucky you didn't get it down the corridor. So you're
I'm doing it myself next time.
Fight aftercare is where it needs to be. Yeah. The fact that you had to have some surgery, some stitching, is nothing to do with the fight aftercare. That's to do with the hospital that you went to. But as far as you're concerned, no issues with this sport, no concerns about it. Everything is where it needs to be. The quality of support structures is in place.
I think everything is fine because I'll tell you, Simon. Because
I don't like your face in that picture, mate. That is a shocker.
Yeah, but you know what? It heals.
All right,
you heal.
Can I ask
you know what I don't like? I'll tell you what I didn't like. They didn't have ice at the hospital. How do you not have ice in the hospital? My hands are like this. Give me some ice. Get some ice in your hospitals out here.
Paulie, so can I ask just one question?
Ice, no ice.
So you're going to scratch this itch again. You're going to get this. You're fighting for the ultimate, the BKB title.
Yeah.
You win that title. Is it one and done?
I mean, I'd like for it to be. You know, I'd say that
Depends on the commerciality of it.
yeah. You know, I'd like for it to be. Who knows? Maybe I'll come back with gloves and fight Pacquiao.
There you go,
because you know, then I'll have
Let's get into this weekend's events. We've got a fight between Mario Barrios and Ryan Garcia. Barrios is a fighter that I think that somewhere along the line Conor Benn would like to fight and thinks he can beat. What's your thoughts going into this fight, Paulie?
I don't rate Barrios at all. Every time I want to give Barrios a little bit of a chance to say, okay, he's pretty good, he looks worse and worse and worse. I still wonder how this guy's even a world champion. I'm shocked.
He fought for a vacant belt, didn't he?
Well, yeah, I guess the welterweight division was kind of weak at the time, and now it's starting to kind of sort of grow back into place. I think that would have been Conor Benn's best chance to be a world champion. Mm-hmm. It's not to say Ryan definitely beats him. But Ryan, on potential, should knock out Mario Barrios, I feel.
But
Ryan is so inconsistent.
Let's be honest about this. So the Ryan Garcia that beat beat Devin Haney. You know, he failed a test after that.
Yeah,
that performance, you look at that and you go, he looks incredible. And now we know the reasons for that. You know, when he boxed Rolly Romeo last time out, he looked terrible.
He looked like he wanted to
He
beat
looked
it,
terrible,
but that was
mate.
more mental, though.
Yeah, but if you look at that, you look at performances, you go, hold on, you're coming off the Devin Haney performance and you look sensational. Oh, and then you get popped for drugs. Then you come in and obviously you're clean and you box Rolly Romeo and you look terrible. You go, off that performance, you go, Barrios probably starts favourite.
Yeah.
How many times do we see it though? We
about
see
Luke
people
Campbell
fail the test and all of a sudden the next performance they're terrible. Like for me, the line should be drawn. You failed the test. That's it. You should be fighting for the WBC title. You shouldn't be fighting for this title. It just doesn't sit right with me. Boxing the way it is, it's just.
And I think a lot of people will concur with that view. And of course, you've got to bring into the fact that Garcia, in lots of people's minds, quit against Gervonta Davis. And could have gone in the same way that people questioned that Daniel Dubois got up, walked across the ring. Garcia decided not to get out.
Mario Barrios is
He's drawn his last two.
They were praising Manny Pacquiao. I didn't think Manny Pacquiao looked good. I thought he looked like an old man. Just Barrios is so bad. They made Pacquiao's performance look good.
I mean, with all that to one side, who are we looking at to win this particular fight? I mean, we've all felt, and we've discussed it in this little brief exchange, that the best opportunity that Conor Benn had, and we'll ask you a question about him in a second, was to fight Barrios. We all think that Barrios is not a great champion. We all felt that Manny Pacquiao getting in against Barrios and the outcome of that fight sort of showed you where Barrios was. But insofar as the fight's concerned, who are we picking as a winner?
Garcia should win.
Yeah.
He should win. Speed should be a key factor in this one, and I think that he'll get off with the shots first. Barrios is one of those guys that walks forward in straight lines. There's no head movement. You know, there's no real vision in what he does. In his work ethic. But there's a big but. If Garcia boxes like he did last time, you know that he gets beat.
My biggest pet peeve. You brought up all the technical stuff about Barrios. My biggest pet peeve about Barrios is this: he's a tall guy. He's 6 feet 6'1", who jabs on his front foot. I mean, dude, that's stuff they should have taught you in the amateurs. A 6'1" guy who jabs on his front foot. So of course he's gonna get hit with every counter right hand and every left hook. That's why I can't see him not getting knocked out. Ultimately, yeah, Ryan may be inconsistent with this. There's a counter right hand waiting. There's a counter left hook waiting on that front foot jab that I still can't understand how this guy got this far jabbing on the front foot like this. We've seen him go down on counter right hands. We've seen him. You can't miss him. You can close your eyes and throw a counter right hand over that jab. He's jabs on his front foot at 6'1". Now, I've seen tall guys fight on the inside at close range. They don't jab. You know, Diego Corrales was great at that. Guys like that. This guy tries to box you. He tries to box you, not bang with you, and then he falls in on the front foot and then jab. I mean, that alone against a puncher like Barrios should cost him the fight.
I mentioned Conor Benn and his mission statement to get back to 147, Paulie. Do you think he does get back to 147 and fight at that weight class? And do you expect him to go in against either one of these guys and beat them?
I think Conor Benn at 147 is a good, solid fighter. I think Conor Benn's a good, solid fighter overall, but I think he's just short of world-class level. I don't see him as a world champion, but if you get the right guy, like a Mario Barrios, I think Conor Benn would be Mario Barrios. I'm not sure he beats a Ryan Garcia, but I think it would, you know, people would watch the fight. I personally, I know there's people are high here on Conor Benn. I personally rate Conor Benn just below world-class level. But a guy who's good enough to fight at, compete at world-class level, and obviously an entertaining fighter.
Singing to the choir. Saturday night, we've got another big British domestic dust-up between Josh Warrington and Lee Wood. This is going to be a good fight, Paul. I mean, I know that we saw Josh Warrington in his fight against Anthony Cacace and thought, oh, is there anything left there? We saw Josh Warrington in his first fight against Lee Wood, dominating the first fight and getting caught by Lee Wood. And obviously we've seen Lee Wood go in and lose to Cacace and at that time potentially suggesting he was going to retire if he lost that fight. He did lose it, but he's not going to retire. But this is still a good fight, isn't it? There's still a lot in this fight that could be intriguing for us all.
Yeah, I'm saying this a lot recently, and it sort of coincides with what Paulie's saying about the club. Like a lot of fighters who, I have no problem with them fighting each other, but I would against them fighting the prospect because I think he's a little bit long in the tooth at the moment. So this fight for me, it's a good fight. I'm trying my best to talk myself out of mentally going, because it's one of them that I wouldn't mind going, to be honest with you, and watching this live. I think it's going to be a really good fight. I can see probably similar type of fight to last time.
Can you?
Where Josh
dominates.
He's always going to... I don't know about dominate. I think he's going to try and set the best pace that he possibly can, because that's how he is going to win the fights. That's his...
He did dominate. I'm not blind. I mean, I don't have the experience.
Yeah.
He did dominate the first 5 or 6 rounds against Lee Wood, didn't he?
He did, but Woods... he's that character again, isn't he? Look, the Michael Conlon fight, when you go back to that, when he got floored in the second round,
he
he's getting
did,
beat up round after round, but he sticks in there and he hangs in there, and he's got that mental toughness and the punch power to turn it around. But you're right in what you say. You know, they both had long careers, and they've both been talking about retirement in recent times and whatnot. So it's a perfect fight for both of them. Where does the winner go off the back of it? You know, is he looking at like a Josh Padley?
That's the question I was going to ask you.
Yeah, he's looking like a Josh Padley.
That's
that
the
sort of
question I was
level.
going to ask you. I mean, Josh Warrington, whether we like the statistic or not, has won 2 of his last 7 fights. Right? And we are now billing this fight as a last man standing. Both boys we really like, right? We really like Lee Wood, we really like Josh Warrington. One of them's going to win and one of them's going to lose, unless we've got some perverse outcome that ends in a draw. It's billed as a last man standing. Where does the winner go? Potentially.
If I'm totally honest, I'd like to see them both retire off the back of it. I think it's a good payday for both of them. They've both had great careers, and you just go, you know what, it should be one and done for the pair of them. But the winner will, he'll be tempted by another fight. And you do look at someone like a Josh Padley, who's just picked up the European title, and you go, that's pretty much where they're at, because they're not world-class level anymore. And I think that, that's been plainly obvious for everybody to see in recent times. You look at Anthony Cacace, who's beat both of them, and you say that's a different sort of level. So, yeah, I think that you're looking at Josh Padley for the winner, maybe.
Before we finish the show, any news about your younger brother, Callum?
He's got to come to London tomorrow for a press conference. So
we'll be talking about that next week, will we?
We'll be talking about that next week. I'm pretty certain, yeah. He'll be down to London tomorrow if he doesn't miss his train or get lost, knowing him. He'll be there, yeah.
Call him up, make sure.
Live exclusively on DAZN. On the world's biggest stage, a champion with a disputed crown. A self-proclaimed king without a throne. Both have a point to prove. Can one of the biggest names in boxing finally be crowned world champion?
It's going to be a hell of a fight.
Barrios versus Garcia, February 21st. Watch only on DAZN.